move the bike so we're not pushing it. We let the bike walk itself around. Now it's called walking with the bike. If you let the clutch all the way out, it becomes running with the bike.
That's not fun.
Followed by running after the bike, followed by less than one picking up the bike. So it's all about a bit of fine control. There's something you work on throughout the course, and it's actually pretty useful out on the trail too.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those exercises that it's good to know how to do, because there's one trick we do in Iceland that's got all flatters, multiple river crossings. So getting to learn how to walk with the bike safely is much safer to walk through an obstacle rather than ride it if you're not sure.
Okay, so I'm going to call you out of it now. Simon, when I get you to come and stop your bike, I want you to stop your bike on this bank somewhere in a horrible awkward position. So one of the things people are always worried about with adventure bikes, particularly if they're shorter of stature like myself, is actually, can I get my foot to the ground? What happens about reaching the floor? So one of the things we're really keen to hammer home is you only ever need one foot down. You don't need both feet down. And getting that habit built over a couple of days to get one foot down. Simon's a great example there. He's got his right foot down. If he tried to put his left foot down there, it's going to be really funny for the rest of us, and it's going to suck for him. So it's an important habit to get into, and something to get over 2 days with us will prove to you that you don't need to be super tall to ride these bikes. Neil, can you get your knee down on one?
So what you're saying is even shorter people like yourself can get a foot down anywhere, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah.
And you're pulling away with it. Again, it's really important with this technique is to get so it's second nature. When it starts to become second nature, then you're always going to put that one foot down. You see here, as soon as I've finished, or I've stopped, my bum's not on the seat. Because when you're square on the bike and both feet are down, the bike isn't the tallest it'll ever be. So as soon as you turn the bars, put one foot on the foot peg, slide your bum off, you've got loads more room. So it doesn't matter how tall or short you are, as long as you've got one part of your body on the foot peg or on the bike.
You can get your knee down off-road. That's not got to be working around the course. Not everyone can get their knee down on the road. So moving on from that, we start riding the bikes, much more fun to be riding them. The first thing you know is the difference between road riding and off-road riding is that off-road everyone's riding standing up. And the next point to make with that is actually on the road where you steer using the handlebars, using counter steering. Off-road, a lot of our steering, nearly all of it in fact, comes through the foot pegs.
Yeah, definitely. You can really do it efficiently when we're stood up. But getting in the right stood up position is so important. We see it so many times that someone's in slightly the wrong position, whether it be knees on the tank or gripping onto the seat. Actually, you should be stood up as normal so you can efficiently put weight through the foot pegs. Also, stood up, I can see so much more. I can see around myself. I can see the mountains, the view. We're adventure bike riders, we want to see what's going on. So being stood up, you can see more. You can react to things quicker. That means you can plan your route quicker, cover more ground, and all that good stuff. And then, maybe the final point is these bikes are great suspension, but combined with your arms and legs, you can really start moving around the bike, moving over obstacles, riding up over things comfortably, and making these bikes really work.
Once we've got you comfortable in the stand-up position, we then move on to a bit of slalom, a bit of slow control, slow riding on uneven ground. And then we actually have the ante into what we call our circle and square exercise, which is how to turn one of these bikes full on in a complete circle, even when we're on gravelly, loose ground.
Yeah, so slow manoeuvring is something we do a lot of on level 1, and it's just getting comfortable with yourself on the bike in the stood up position and where the weight is. Now, all my weight, as soon as I lean the bike, is on the outside foot peg. That makes us stable, and the tighter you want to turn, the more pressure you've got to put on the outside peg and lean that bike. So the more weight you can put on the outside of the bike, the tighter you can turn. And go around the other way. A bit dizzy now.
Stop before you get dizzy now. So once we've moved on from turns, and again, something to never practice on our bikes, find out where your limit is, find out just how time you can turn it. We then start doing a few braking exercises. Now the GS has an Enduro and an Enduro Pro mode on the ABS, which means you can switch the rear ABS off, which lets you do skids, which was brilliant fun when we were 8 years old on BMX, and it's just as much fun when we're all grown up, supposedly, riding the 1250. After the back brake skills, we move on to a bit more of a front brake exercise where we're developing a bit of and a bit of trust in just how hard you can brake on gravel.
Yeah, again, it's a bit of a adventure rider myth that some people say don't use your front brake on off-road. Actually, it's where you want to be using it. Your front brake is your stopping power. And by getting really good on the front brake, it allows you to ride a lot faster in slippery conditions and be able to brake efficiently because we're much smoother with our hands. So the exercise we do, the clutch is out, the throttle's on, and we're just slowly, progressively putting more and more pressure on that front brake. Getting the front brake to slip around. The ABS sometimes kicking in if you put that much pressure on, but it's a great exercise to get really, really good on that brake.
So that kind of makes up our morning of level 1, day 1. We spend the morning, we'll get to burnouts, we spend the morning on that slope control, and we split into smaller groups and go and explore the park you saw on the video there. So we've got 4,000 pitch acres, lots and lots of different gradients, because we do gentle slopes and building right up to really difficult stuff. But we do it as you improve your confidence and your skill. So Neil, can you just take us through the downhill braking exercise?
Yeah, the first one is literally engine braking only. Clutch is out, no brakes. We're letting the capacity of the engine braking, the compression of the engine slow you down. And it's really efficient on big adventure bikes, even on long, nice big slopes. If you want to go that a little bit slower, the clutch is out still, but the brakes on, ever so slightly. So engine braking with brakes. It just takes that little bit more speed off. And then the next one, the next technique, is getting that clutch in and just front brake. Now these bikes have got link brakes, so when the front's on, the back's on as well, ever so slightly. The balance is really good, so you can go down some really gnarly hills on these bikes and still way, way under control.
So from downhills, obviously the next step is uphills. Now the one thing people are always worried about with uphill isn't how to get up on it, it's what happens when you don't make it. What happens when you stop on the hill and then you start sliding backwards, that horrible position to be in. So the first thing we teach you is how to do a hill recovery, how to stop, turn around and get back to the bottom of the hill you can't make it up.
So yeah, if you're going up the hill, if you're a bit aggressive and you're just staggering, you might not get up the hill. So I've got stuck. I'm stuck on the hill. The first thing I've done is let the clutch out. Come to a stop, come to a stall, because it's the safest way, and not all the time. The brakes won't always save you. So even with the clutch in and the front brake, you might slide if you're on a hill or a gravelly hill or mud. So by getting that clutch out, you're safe. And you can't always put your back brake on either, because there might be a hole here, like there is, and I don't want to put my foot down, you might fall. So you might have to put the right foot down. So the ground dictates that. So from here, we're going to turn around on the hill. It's safer to come off the bike, and then we're going to bring the bike around us. You always stay the higher side. From here, we're going to use the clutch, I've turned the bars, and nice and smoothly with the clutch, I'm going to go back. The smoother you are, the better it is. If you're aggressive with the clutch, it just goes way too fast and you start sliding again. So you have to go really nice and smooth down the hill until you start getting out of trouble, to the point where if you can't get out of that, you might have to stop. Let's say there's a ditch there. One thing you might notice as well, I'm always leaning the bike into the hill, because if the worst happens, you just drop the bike and it's on the hillside. If it goes over that side, sometimes it's quite hard to pick up the bike then, especially if it goes the long way and it's a long hill. So nice and smooth with the clutch. If you can't go back any further, then the clutch can come out, the front brake can come on, and we go full lock left, full lock right. By doing this, the more you lean the bike, the more the front wheel will come around until you're out of the problem, or you can ride out of the area you're in.
So from not making it, the next game is to make it up the hill. The key to getting up hills, there's no proof there. If you just get on the hill and then open the throttle, especially if it's wet and muddy, you end up wheel spinning and not making it. So the key is getting your momentum up. Drive hard across the flat where you've got some traction, and then actually you can pull the clutch in, and it's just momentum that gets you up to the top of the bank.
So yeah, you always do it straight to the obstacle. Not on the turn. As soon as I'm straight, a little bit of drive, and then the clutch can come in and you can get up over the obstacle safely. And it works on a little bank like this, or hundreds of meters of hill. You've got drive at the bottom, commit where you've got grip, not on the hill. Right,
Neil, let's up the ante a little bit. Come back around again. Need to make that a little bit harder for you. So sometimes you don't have the luxury of a long runner. Sometimes you're less than a bike length from the bottom of the hill. Closer, 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 closer. Like without rolling back for a bigger run-up. If I'm watching you. So can you do exactly the same technique but do it in a much tighter space?
Yeah, this is a level 3 exercise where we get you to do like a bounce momentum. So you've got less in space to get momentum, so you've got to be more aggressive. So at the bottom you climb hard and then nice and smooth once you get over the obstacle. So there's a little bit more aggression, but it works on all sorts of banks and hills.
A little bit more of a trials approach to the obstacle there. So that kind of wraps up what we do on our level 1 course. So that's all of the lessons we do on there. We do that over 2 days, we do it in small groups and we build up as your ability grows, and we always try to group you with similar ability riders. From there we move on to level 2 foundation, level 2 and level 3. For sure you'll be hooked after 1 level, so we'll come back and then we start going into more difficult terrain, pushing things a little bit harder, and we do some fun lessons as well. We actually do a spin turn where we teach you how to spin the bike around in a really tight space.
Yeah, spin turns are fun. It's much easier to learn on our bike rather than yours in a car park or something like that. So they get you out of trouble if you're in a tight trail and you need to turn around quick, or you need to turn around quick. So once you're here, we're going to try it off the bike first and then we'll do it on the bike. So to turn it around as quick as we can, the bar's turn. I'm going to lean the bike into me as much as I'm comfortable. Not too much because it starts getting you're going to start losing energy. The leading foot has got to turn, head and shoulders have got to turn the direction you want to go. And then you can get on the clutch so you're nice and smooth. So to pull away on a spin turn, you just want to be a little bit more aggressive than you usually are. So a little bit more throttle, a little bit more aggressive on the clutch. And then you've got to take a step forward. As the bike starts spinning around, you've got to move your body. If you don't, you can only get to here. So with the bike, you want to